want to talk about this very nice thread. It's very charming. Kids these days will never. And it's about things that, kids these days that game will never experience for the most part. And I'm not going to read you the whole thing. It's a good thread if you're curious. But I just want to read you a couple of them that hit home. Kids these days will never enjoy the car bus ride home after saving up their pocket money for a new game and reading the manual and back of the box in anticipation for getting home and popping that sucker in. It's true. I used to love that. When I made video games, the reason we put a lot of love into the manual was because we had those memories of us being kids and reading the catalogs and manuals and backs of boxes and all that shit. So I get it. And yeah, no, that's gone. That's totally gone. I like this one. Kids these days will never feel the excitement and wonder of reaching the end of disc 1 and having to save the game and put the new disc in, which always felt like a milestone in the game that you were playing. Totally true. Totally fucking true. Kids will never, says Chain Whippin', remember the smell of a new instruction booklet. That's right. Kids these days will never choose a game to buy. Listen to this one. This is good. Kids these days will never have to choose a game to buy based purely on the box art. It's true. My goodness gracious. My goodness gracious. We put so much time with marketing into the boxes. 50, 60 iterations from artists from all over going, should this be the box? Is this the box? The only reason Twisted Metal and Sweet Tooth are synonymous at this point and forever linked is because marketing had the bright idea of going, hey, you know what? Faces sell. And we have this clown. Let's anthropomorphize the clown, which in Twisted Metal 1 was just a flat sprite. And, from then on, it became the clown game. Isn't that crazy? But it's true. It's true. Kids will never choose a game based purely on the box art. Kids these days will never wonder why their friends' Nintendo's carts are sticky. Oh, Lord have mercy. This is a good one, too. Demo discs. Nothing like spending an afternoon popping in one of those and trying them out. It's true. I mean, demos today are better. If all you do is play video game demos on Steam, good God Almighty, you'll have absolutely enough games to last y'all fucking year, man. Kids these days will never know the Omegle chat roulette bullshit that was Uno on Xbox 360 with the camera. That's true too. If you don't know what he's talking about, back in the day, if you played Uno with the camera, you'd get a bunch of fucking dick pics. Not pics, you'd have guys shoving their fucking dick in the camera. You're like, Jesus, dude. I'm just trying to fucking use the reverse card. Could you please put your penis back in your pantyhose? Listen to this. Kids these days will never know the agony. This is what's funny. Kids these days will never know the agony of getting stuck in a game with no YouTube walkthrough to help. I mean, fuck you. That's what the game should be. The game should... Even you gamers these days, you young whippersnappers who are in your 30s and 40s, fuck you all for making strategy guides acceptable. It's ridiculous that you don't demand that your video games that you've just paid $60, $70 for tell you everything you need to know. I don't mean they spoil their puzzles. I don't mean like Atreus and Ragnarok. But you shouldn't need a fucking walkthrough. The game should be well designed enough and well communicated enough that you don't need some supplementary. It's the equivalent of like, well, you can't take this class yet at college until you've taken the prerequisite class. It's like, I just paid you $60. Is the whole meal not served in there? It's ridiculous. Listen to this one. Filling out an 80 character password with an NES controller. That's true. Leaving the game turned on and paused overnight because you had gotten farther than ever before and your parents were already mad you weren't in bed and there were no saves at all. Totally true. Waiting for the next EGM. I mean, come on, man. I mean, waiting for those magazines or waiting, because you didn't have the internet, man. So it was just like, you didn't, I will say the days of video game coverage coming specifically from magazines was so much better than the way it is now. There wasn't the hate. and there wasn't the drama, and it was, you know, I mean, I never disliked Die Hard game fan, but I never used to trust it because everything was always so positive. But now I'm just like, you know what I wouldn't give for a website where it's just like everybody just loves games. And if I tell you that my game of the year is Star Wars Outlaws, which right now so far it is, instead of being attacked, people are just like, oh, cool, here's my favorite game. It was just delightful. But it was also fun, man, getting those EGMs in the mail in November and October, which were their holiday catalogs, which meant you were getting 300-page phone books, basically, because all the video game companies were buying ads for those months, so you would buy their shit. Man, that was great. That was great. You would just sit there and lose yourself in it. I mean, it was wonderful. Kids these days will never feel the pain of losing all their game saves because they were dumb enough to buy a cheap, unreliable knockoff PS1 memory card instead of the much more expensive official card from Sony. You goddamn right. They'll never understand the anticipation of leaving the game on pause for a quick shit. Kids will never understand looking at a magazine and daydreaming about playing the game in your mind for months. That's a great point. Kids will never understand gaming rumors and uncles who worked for Nintendo and Sega. Although I am the uncle. I have nephews who come into the stream from time to time. Daniel and Scott and Amy, but she's not a nephew and she never really gamed. I snuck one of them into E3 one year. It was awesome. But anyway, the point is, though, is I was the uncle that worked for Sony, and I could tell, you know, it was a real thing. But